travel the world on my own, make my own schedule, do my own thing on the indies. I was starting to make a good amount of money there, doing WWE, WrestleMania, etc. I walked into this warehouse. I could not believe this was the top of the food chain. It was unreal. It's literally just a dirty, grimy warehouse, like with a shower that hadn't been cleaned since had never been cleaned. You know what I mean? Like just dirt. Like you're like, maybe wear your flip flops when you go in there. It was bad.
But how much did you learn there? What are the valuable things you learned?
Gosh, I learned a lot there from a political standpoint. So I learned how to have confidence in myself. One, because when I walked in, I thought, like I said, I was walking into the big leagues. Oh, I'm going to learn how to do things a different way. But what I realized when I got there was that I was already better than everybody in the room. And so it allowed me to have the confidence to be like, oh, I can now lead all of these people in the ring. I can take them and help elevate them because I know what I'm doing and they're learning what to do. But I'd already had great experience on the indies, learning from guys like Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Hero, Samoa Joe, list goes on. Guys who had AJ Styles, who had the experience, and they took me into their wing, so I learned from being in the ring with them. Then I went to SCW in Tampa, and no one had that experience because, like I said, they're all just dudes from a gym a local gym they brought in. So I was like light years ahead. So I learned how to lead. I learned like kind of what the politics of wrestling looked like and how to maybe manipulate's not the right word, but learn how to
negotiate,
learn how to play the game. Yeah, you know what I mean. Learn how that side of things work.
Oh, I'll give you a parallel. When I started doing stand up and I started going on the road, just a very informed conversation. A guy named David Tell, maybe the greatest comic that's ever lived, said to me, "Hey, how was Houston?" And I said, "Oh, it was good. Last time was like a legendary club." I said, "It was good." And he said, "What were your bar sales like?" I said, "I don't know." And he goes, "Let me tell you something." He goes, "I can't tell you that the guy that books that club knows anything about comedy. But I can tell you that he's looking at that bar sale at the end of the week. So, more booze you sell, more you'll come back." And I went, done. I brought beers on stage with me. I would, hey, toast, and I just push people through beer. And I would make crazy bar sales, like legendary bar sales. Like until fucking Shane Gillis, no one touched my bar sales. And then that motherfucker eclipsed me. I mean, he is the biggest drinking comic alive right now. Yeah. But that was the business of negotiating the business. Where you're like, okay, so I want to work on stand up, but only I can make sure I'm back in my bar sales. Yeah, same. I thought, if I just do wrestling well in the ring, I'll be fine. Of course, that's how it's always worked. It's a meritocracy. 100%. You just tell jokes. If you get the loudest laughs in the room, of course, right? Of course. And then you get to a point where like, oh, everybody tells jokes really well. Everybody makes everybody laugh. Everybody can figure out how to have a good match. That's what's amazing about you, and I can't understand what it is. I go, like, why Seth? Why is he bothering me? Why are my eyes drawn to him? It's an interesting thing with wrestling that is this intangible. Yep. Where you go, what is the thing? Like, but keep going. I apologize. I just interrupted. But
no. So I just learned how to kind of like figure out that backstage stuff. I learned how to have confidence in myself and be a leader. I think more than anything. And those are sort of the big things that helped me when I got to the next level. Two years later, after being trapped in that dungeon warehouse, finally getting to the main roster, and then I'm like, I kept that confidence and that kind of swag with me, and I was able to start to carve my path that way, but do it in a way that wasn't abrasive to people. Yeah. Too abrasive, I suppose. Too abrasive. You want to blaze some trails. You got to piss a couple people off. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody's gonna be happy with you. So there were certainly people when we got up to the main roster. I wanted to change a lot about the style of the way the matches looked and the way we did things. And there was a lot of guys who were very resistant to that energy out of the gate. So it took some kicking down some doors or sneaking around back to get that done. But you look at what the shows look like now compared to what they did before we got on the main roster. Myself particularly, I mean, it's night and day compared to like the athleticism, the fact that smaller guys can get more opportunities, and they're taken seriously as big stars in the business. I mean, even the big guys, like they've had to adapt their style to keep up with the small guys. Where it used to be the other way around, where like you needed to slow your stuff down and simplify your work. And if you were anybody small under 6 foot that wasn't Rey Mysterio, you didn't stand a chance. So I think what we've been able to do, and I really was someone who pushed for this, is to be able to understand that was the style moving forward. That was what was going to be the future. Faster, and more athleticism and just this kind of new wave of what wrestling could be and could look like. Wow. So I did see it ahead of time, I would say.
It's a gift. What was your first interaction with wrestling as a kid in Ireland?
I can't remember. My brother would watch it.
What did you guys get? Did you get WWE?
We got WWE. I don't know where we would have watched it. I don't know what channel, but I remember like